Are you finding it difficult to start your engine, or it just feels disjointed? Do you hear rattling or pinging noises like the engine just wants to quit? Reduced acceleration performance, poor gas mileage? All of these symptoms are potential signs that your spark plugs may need changing. At around 80,000 kilometers, your spark plugs might start to look like this, depending on the quality of the materials. If the spark plug is not working the way it should, the whole combustion process starts to break down. Early on, copper was used as a main component, which conducted electricity well, but it deteriorated pretty quick. So Bosch, with over 100 years of knowledge, designed a more durable and longer-lasting spark plug by using a premium material, iridium. For diesel engines, on the other hand, Bosch glow plugs, glow plugs, not glow sticks, dummy, have post-glow technology which remains active even when the engine is running to keep the engine working smoothly and efficiently in stop-and-go traffic. Post-glow systems also heat up the diesel particle filter to help burn soot particles periodically to prevent clogging of the filter. Bosch keeps your vehicles mobile at all times by offering the right part for any vehicle, offering the very best in performance and safety. Bosch, invented for life. If you've ever found yourself wanting a Suzuki Jimny, and I'm sure many of you out there have, myself included, but just couldn't justify getting a tiny 3-door SUV, well then you're in luck, because this is the all-new Suzuki Jimny 5-door. And on this episode of Behind the Wheel, we want to find out if these 2 extra doors and its subsequent increase in length is worth the price gap of 378,000 Philippine pesos. Yeah, you heard me right. The 3-door has received a price increase since the last time we had it, which was 3 years ago on our episode of Behind the Wheel. And if you've seen that video, then you'll recognize the area that we're in, because this is the exact same area that we've taken the 5-door where we did the 3-door. Wow, has it really been 3 years? Anyway, if you check AutoDeal.com.ph or the AutoDeal app, where you can compare prices and get quotes from official dealers nationwide, you'll see that the 3-door GLX automatic 2-tone comes in at 1,330,000 Philippine pesos. For the top-of-the-line Jimny 5-door, it's priced at 1,708,000 Philippine pesos. That's almost 100,000 pesos more than the Ranger Wildtrak 4x2 and close to 150,000 more than the manual 4x4 Triton. Quite the difference. And with those cars, you get a much larger vehicle with a much larger engine. So, with that price, what is it exactly that you get? Let's start with the exterior. Now, all around, it's still the Jimny everyone knows and loves. Iconic round LED headlamps with fog lamps down below. The grille is a bit different. It comes in gray with chrome trim around the vents and a 2-tone paint job for this top-of-the-line variant. Large plastic fenders that house the 15-inch alloys wrapped in 80 series highway terrain tires. And that makes the car sit at 210 millimeters of ground clearance. Down the side is the more obvious changes, where the width and the height are practically the same with the 3-door Jimny. It's the length, obviously. The length of the car is 170 millimeters more, but the wheelbase is where it's staggering, because that is 13 inches longer. Hey man, if 378,000 Philippine pesos gets you 13 inches in height, sign me up. I'm game.
But that's not really height. For the car, it's like wheelbase, so I don't know what it's like for a person.
Oh yeah, so that would mean... But for me, that would be like legs lang? I'd look like Manut Ball. Or Ball Ball. Kulang! At the rear, it's pretty much similar to the 3-door Jimny, where you have your brake lights down below, your third brake light up on top, and your spare tire hanging out. It's when you open her up where it spells a world of difference, because in the 3-door Jimny, you have a total of 85 liters of space, which is barely usable. To have even more cargo space, you need to fold the second row. Here, you're looking at 211 very usable liters of space, infinitely better than the 3-door. It isn't, however, all that great because it does have drawbacks. Drawback number 1 is that while the seats do fold, it doesn't fold flush to the ground like the 3-door. But you just have so much more space. And in the city, that can spell to more than just a pair of balikbayan boxes. The second thing about the rear is the door, really, because it is assisted by this shock right here. The problem is, and I know that we're kind of on a hill right now, but even if you're on a flat surface, this door will continuously start to open until it gets to its maximum opening potential. Now, in a tight parking spot inside the city, that might be an issue because it might hit a door or two. You can't like leave it half open. It will just push itself wide open. But I guess it's just something that you can get used to. Getting into the rear, obviously, a heck of a lot easier. Instead of climbing over the driver or the passenger seats, space is, well, quite decent. The seats are elevated, so my legs are okay. Again, I'm like 5 under tall. Leg room is good. This is my driving position. Headroom is decent for the size of the automobile, and the fabric itself is quite comfortable. The plastics on the door are similar to what the 3-door Jimny are, but then it just means it's actually very, very easy to clean. There aren't a lot of toys back here. In fact, there are none. There's no center armrest. You can only fit 2 passengers back here because the seat belts made evident that you can only put 2 passengers back here. There's no fifth fifth seat belt. There are no air vents, there are no USB charging points, but like the 2 doors here in the 5-door Jimny, it also has one other thing that the 3-door Jimny will never ever have. Bottle holders. Yeah, I granted it's only 2, but hey, at least it's something. Now, sitting in the rear seat also, I must say, is a heck of a lot more comfortable than sitting in the rear seats of the 3-door Jimny for one very large thing, which is its wheelbase. The ride feels much better for the rear passengers. Now, I know this firsthand because I was sitting in the rear seats when we took the Jimny out for a drive with Suzuki, and we drove from Metro Manila all the way to Zambales, so that's on road, and then we hit the Lahar area, and I was sitting in the back, and I was really quite comfortable, enjoyable to a point, really. Yeah, truthfully. Up front, well, it's still the same rugged aesthetic. Kind of reminds you of a dive watch, really. You've got analog gauges left and right with a trip computer in the center, buttons on your steering wheel, round gauges here. The buttons for your windows can be found here in the center. Then you've got your 4x4 system here, and then buttons here in the center for the windows at the rear. The big difference is from the 3-door to the 5-door is the infotainment screen. One is that it's much larger. This is now a new 9-inch touchscreen infotainment system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, the camera is pretty decent, but they have removed one aspect from this infotainment screen, or rather system, which is the clinometer. But I will argue, even though that we are in the middle of nowhere, that we actually like the fact that we have Apple CarPlay and or Android Auto rather than a clinometer. After all, my first name may be Carlo, but I'm not Science Senior.
But you're a senior.
Shut up, Earl!
Sorry po.
Really, at first I thought the added length would make the world's most adorable 4x4 look a bit awkward. And at first, I was quite thrown off by the extra door. But after spending some time with it, I'd say it still retains its charm. Up front, it is the tried and tested 1.5-liter naturally aspirated gasoline engine that produces 101 horses and 130 Newton-meters of torque mated to a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, in heavy traffic, it can produce 10 kilometers per liter, and on the highway, because it doesn't have such great legs, it does 16 kilometers per liter. I mean, really, what do you expect from a car that has the aerodynamic coefficient of a Borg cube? Now, as we previously mentioned, it is the exact same engine with the same amount of fuel consumption, and it also has the same awesome 4x4 system. The only difference, obviously, with this 5-door is the fact that the length, well, it's 13 inches longer in wheelbase. So what that means is that while it is longer, the brake angle, which is found in the center, that actually is much sooner. But it's all the same. Straight out of the box, even with these road tires, it has an awesome 4x4 system that can take on roads such as this and even gnarlier ones with really ease. And it's not like I'm alone inside the car. There's 3 of us in here with a crap load of stuff, and the Jimny just goes, okay, what's next? Now, while there are a lot of cars out there with much more power than this particular car, I will argue that there are no cars that match the amount of personality and fun this car can deliver. Really, none. This thing is just, it's really a trip because it falls into that category of driving something so tiny and something, well, it's not exactly super fast, but slow, and then you try to drive it as fast as possible. You really want to wring its neck as best as you can. And you'd think it's going to give out on you, but nope. This thing just keeps smiling and just says, okay, thank you, next. And then when you're done being off-road and you're back to being on tarmac once again, just so long as you keep it under 60 kilometers per hour, you can easily switch back to 2 high. System takes care of itself and you're done. Let's go. So easy. Now, the characteristics of the Jimny on road is quite similar when you're talking about the engine, when you're talking about the power delivery, when you're talking about the automatic transmission, the weight of the steering wheel, which I kind of like because I'm used to driving my Montero and that's a very heavy steering wheel. Here, although the car is much smaller, I like the fact that there is more weight on the steering wheel. It doesn't feel that much of a toy. What also doesn't make it feel that much of a toy is the fact that the wheelbase, as we mentioned, is also much longer. So whether you're on the tarmac or when you're off-road, it feels like it does feel so much more stable. It doesn't feel like it's going to throw you around. It doesn't feel like it's going to topple over at all. It feels more behaved. Truthfully, I think it just feels more mature. The NVH of this car, well, that's yet another topic. See, it's a box, it's a square, so the wind noise is definitely going to creep in, and it's only a 1.5 liter engine made into an automatic transmission, so when you're pushing it at low gears, yes, the sound will definitely come in. But I will say, when you compare it to the 3-door Jimny, it's much better. It really does feel much better. Also because there's a lot more insulation in this automobile compared to the 3-door. So, you know, it's starting to really feel like, hey, this is a more of a car feel instead of just something that you want to drive and dress up and take out and beat up on weekends. You know, it feels like you want to drive the car properly. It's a strange feeling. It just feels like in the 3-door Jimny, you find it so cute and you want to put it in your pocket and you just want to take care of it and feed it every once in a while. In this car, you feel like, hey, that's my daily drive. It's a normal car. It's strange. That isn't to say that when you look at the car, its dimensions are all disproportionate. No. Like I mentioned earlier, it really does look like they did well in lengthening this car as they did. In fact, you've seen other 3-doors out there that they dress it up to make it look like a G-Wagon. This car, if you were to, it would be closer to a G-Wagon. Well, in this case, a J-Wagon. Idiots. I'm surrounded by idiots.
You included.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm looking in the mirror when I say that.
Carlos Senior.
Shut up, Earl! I believe a major issue that a lot of people will ask about would be if the car is underpowered, considering that the wheelbase is much longer, there's more doors, it carries a little bit more weight, about 100 kilos that is. The truth is, no. It does not feel underpowered at all. And I'm saying this, that the entire time that I've reviewed the Jimny and driven it out to Zambales on the Suzuki drive, is that we were never less than 3 people inside the car. Never. Not on this review, not on that drive. And not once did we feel underpowered. Ever. At all. So please, quell any misconceptions that you might have that simply because it's a little bit heavier and a little bit longer, that it's not going to perform the same. You'd be wrong. You'd be dead wrong. Do not, however, get me wrong of me saying that this could be the end-all and be-all of 4x4s. No, not at all. There are better 4x4s out there. There are stronger 4x4s out there. There are roomier 4x4s out there. But for 100 horses and 130 newton meters of torque inside this compact cabin, this cute little compact cabin, for what it is, it's actually pretty darn good. And you will not feel wanting knowing what it is exactly that you're getting. which is a compact SUV. You get me? At the end of the day, it still retains the same personality and quirkiness of the three-door Jimny, but it has grown up a bit, literally and figuratively. But that doesn't mean that the little kid inside is gone. No. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It really is quite expensive. If you're looking for something more affordable than the aforementioned diesel pickup trucks, yeah, you can get yourself one which has more space and more power. But see, the Jimny really wasn't built to be a workhorse. If you're looking for one, then yeah, definitely get yourself a pickup truck. In fact, it's one of the most top searched vehicles on AutoDeal.com.ph. But what the Jimny has that those other cars don't have is something a little less tangible. See, it oozes with character, it oozes with personality, and at times I think it even has a sense of humor. With the addition of the two doors, it just basically means that you can bring more people along with you to share in all that fun.
But